In August of 1971, one of the most disturbing psychological experiments in history took place. Not in a secret government facility, not in a war zone, but in the basement of a university. No weapons, no real criminals, no torture devices, just ordinary young men. And yet, within days, it descended into psychological horror. This is the story of the Stanford prison experiment, a study meant to last 2 weeks, but terminated after 6 days. Not because it failed, but because it worked too well. Psychologist Philip Zimbardo wanted to answer a simple but dangerous question. Are people naturally cruel, or does the situation make them that way? To test this, he recruited 24 healthy, mentally stable college students. No criminal history, no violent tendencies, psychologically screened. They were randomly assigned roles as prisoners and guards. A mock prison was constructed in the basement of Stanford University's psychology building. Cameras installed, cells built, rules written. The experiment was approved, funded, celebrated as groundbreaking. What no one expected was how quickly it would become real. The experiment began with arrest. Prisoners were taken from their homes, handcuffed, read their rights, fingerprinted. They weren't told it was staged. They were blindfolded, stripped, given smokes with ID numbers instead of names. No underwear, no privacy. Guards were issued uniforms, batons, mirrored sunglasses designed to remove eye contact and identity. They were told one thing: maintain order. No instructions to be cruel, no permissions for abuse. And yet, something changed almost immediately. On the first night, prisoners rebelled. They barricaded themselves inside their cells. The guards responded with force, displayed fire extinguishers, dragged prisoners out, stripped them naked. From that moment on, the balance of power was set. Guards began inventing punishments, push-ups, sleep deprivation, public humiliation. Prisoners were forced to chant their numbers. Their identities began to dissolve, and the guards, they began to enjoy it. Within days, the abuse intensified. Prisoners were denied bedroom access, forced to soil themselves, placed in solitary confinement, a dark closet barely big enough to stand. Some guards became sadistic. They woke prisoners in the middle of the night, mocked them, punished the group for one person's behavior. And the most chilling detail, other guards who felt uncomfortable did nothing because the system rewarded silence. One prisoner broke down within 36 hours, screaming, crying uncontrollably, begging to leave. At first, researchers thought he was faking. Another prisoner developed a stress-induced rash across its entire body. Others became passive, emotionless, obedient. They stopped resisting, they stopped questioning, they accepted their roles. The experiment was no longer simulating prison life, it was prison life. Here's the detail that transformed this from disturbing to terrifying. Philip Zimbardo didn't just observe the experiment, he became the prison superintendent. When prisoners asked to leave, he treated it like parole. When guards escalated punishment, he allowed it. He later admitted, I stopped seeing them as participants and started seeing them as prisoners. The man studying power was consumed by it. The experiment was finally stopped, not by the researchers, but by an outsider. A graduate student named Christina Maslach visited the prison and was horrified. She saw young men humiliated, broken, dehumanized. She asked a simple question: what are you doing to them? That question ended the experiment. 6 days out of 14. The Stanford prison experiment became one of the most cited studies in psychology, but it also became one of the most criticized. Ethical violations, psychological harm, biased observation, and yet its conclusion remained deeply uncomfortable. That cruelty doesn't require monsters, just system. The Stanford prison experiment didn't reveal something new about prisons. It revealed something horrifying about us humans. That when given power, uniforms, and permission, ordinary people can become capable of extraordinary cruelty. And the most disturbing question isn't, will this happen again? It is it already happening somewhere you can't see? This is Fein Plot, and when knowledge fades into darkness, we follow it.